This is ABC 15 News.
Tonight, an ABC 15 exclusive. New evidence raising questions about who really committed the Baseline killings. For months, the man known as the Baseline Killer paralyzed the valley in 2006, killing 9 people and raping and robbing even more. Right now, he's preparing to go to trial.
For the first time tonight, we'll hear from a Phoenix police officer expected to testify for the defense. Christopher Sine has been tracking this case for years and has this story you'll only see on ABC 15.
For nearly a year, he was identified only by a sketch, a serial killer accused of 9 murders.
Serial rapist on the loose. I'm scared.
Help us track down the Baseline Killer.
The arrest of Mark Goudeau captured headlines, and the community was breathing a sigh of relief. But now, less than 3 months before his trial begins, ABC 15 has uncovered new details about Goudeau's defense. Detailed in audio recordings you will hear for the first time.
He was real bragging about the people that he had killed.
Recordings from a Phoenix police officer assigned to track down the Baseline Killer. New information provided in nearly 3 hours of recordings and personal case notes. You'll hear why the officer says Goudeau did not commit all of the crimes tied to the largest serial killer investigation in Arizona history.
I knew they were wrong.
This is Officer Rusty Stewart, according to his personnel file, honored and respected by the department, a Phoenix cop for 21 years. He was assigned to the Baseline Killer case back in 2006. Stewart tells ABC 15 he is not trying to protect Goudeau, saying he may be involved in some of the 9 murders. But according to Rusty Stewart and his attorney, when Mark Goudeau goes to trial in January, Stewart is currently scheduled to be a witness for the defense, not the prosecution, because he believes there's another person behind some of the murders.
Did you have any other evidence linking him to any of the Phoenix homicides?
This is audio recording of Officer Stewart being questioned by Maricopa County attorneys, the prosecutors preparing the case against Mark Goudeau.
I was very concerned about him.
The him Stewart is talking about is Terry Wayne Smith, a California native living in Phoenix who has a history of violent crime.
I figured that Terry was involved in this.
Stewart has told prosecutors he sees a connection between Smith, Goudeau, and the Baseline killings.
Terry Smith had come home that night with blood all over his shirt. It was the same date as that homicide.
Many of Stewart's theories that will be used at trial in January revolve around this map created by Phoenix police profilers. The marks you see on the map indicate where the majority of the crimes tied to the Baseline Killer happened, from rapes to robberies to murders. The area inside the 2 biggest circles is called the 95th percentile, meaning that 95% of the crimes occurred or would have occurred within that area. But outside that area are 3 of the homicides Goudeau is accused of committing. Those 3 crimes are the main focus of Stewart's proposed testimony in this case.
These are the 2 strange ones, the one in Tempe and the one out here, because they make no sense as far as the 95% area.
He's referring to a double murder that happened inside a mobile lunch truck near 91st Avenue in Lower Buckeye, more than 13 miles outside the 95th percentile area. Stewart told prosecutors he can place Terry Wayne Smith at the scene of the crime, here at 91st Avenue and Lower Buckeye. In the tapes, Stewart claims Terry Wayne Smith was released from jail 48 hours before the lunch truck murders and that he had gone to his mom's house, who at the time was living in a new home near this area, 5 miles from the crime scene. The 3rd murder Stewart ties to Smith happened in Tempe. In that case, 19-year-old Georgia Thompson was shot to death near her apartment complex along Mill Avenue. But according to Stewart's own case notes, Thompson's roommate was a woman named Tiffany. Stewart claims Tiffany is Terry Wayne Smith's ex-wife, and Tiffany and Georgia both worked at the same strip club. While the questions Stewart has raised about the Tempe murder have not been validated by police, according to their investigative reports, Stewart says in tapes he wanted to continue his investigation until...
I was also being ordered to stop looking into Terry Smith.
Officer Stewart claims leaders of the Baseline Killer Task Force told him to back off.
I was told that they had eliminated him as a suspect.
During these recordings, Stewart admits a team of detectives had looked into Terry Wayne Smith and his connection and tossed him out as a suspect, saying Smith was in jail during the murders. Stewart says the detectives were wrong.
Terry was not in prison.
And ABC 15 found Stewart is right. According to prison records, Smith was not in prison at the time of the murder in Tempe and the 2 murders on 91st Avenue and Buckeye. On the tapes, Stewart is asked by prosecutors why he was ordered to stop his own investigative work. His answer?
The response was that I was giving Godot a defense.
That response is what Godot's defense hopes to hear in court. But Terry Wayne Smith says he also wants to testify. While Smith declined our request for an on-camera interview, he wrote these letters to county prosecutors, telling them Stewart threatened his life during the investigation. He also says Rusty Stewart's report contained many false pieces of information, and Stewart has a personal vendetta against him. Smith goes on to ask prosecutors to ultimately convict Rusty Stewart for improperly and unlawfully using his position of power as a police officer.
Now, Terry Wayne Smith has not been connected to the Baseline Killer crimes. Mark Godot has already been found guilty and sentenced to more than 400 years for the sexual assault of 2 sisters. As for the murders, detectives claim to have recovered evidence of the crimes from Godot's home. Now, if you want to hear more from the audio recordings of the officer and prosecutors, go to abc15.com right now for extended coverage. And Steve and Katie, if Mark Godot is convicted of murder, it is likely that prosecutors will seek the death penalty in this case, and the trial is set to begin in January and last 1 year.
It sounds like much of this evidence that you've uncovered is going to be the heart of his defense as well.
Most certainly, and it will be very interesting to see what happens next.
All right.
We'll be watching.
Thanks.